The power of persistence. Often overlooked and overshadowed as the unsexy factor in success, arguably there's nothing more important as persistence for achieving our goals.
Sometimes it really is as simple as putting one foot in front of the other day after day.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. So, drum roll, we're on our last week here in Marbs, aren't we?
Oh my goodness, we are, Claire. I just realised we'll be recording the next one.
Oh,
well,
yes.
If we don't hustle, we're recording it en route to the ferry or even on the ferry.
Actually, I hadn't thought about that. How am I going to do all the editing without Wi-Fi?
We'll have to do it before we go. So the next one will be the last one before we leave Marbella. But by the time you hear it, we will have left Marbella.
Exactly. Another way we're just, talking to you about planning our podcast live here. Sorry about that. We are organised normally.
We are. So today we're going to be talking to you about the power of persistence. And it's pretty unsexy, unglamorous, but arguably it's one of the
Not
biggest...
the podcast, it means persistency.
I mean, persistence. one of the most important components of success in any field of life. So we're going to really drill into that.
Can I just also say, I just said persistency, which is not a word.
I don't think it is a word,
I was
Claire.
moulding...
You use it a lot, but I don't think it's a word.
I don't use it a lot. I was moulding consistency and persistence together there. So I thought I'd just call it out rather than ignoring it. So if anyone...
Peter Andre.
Anyway, carry on, Mr. D.
Throwing me quite off my train of thought there. Before we get into the power of persistence, or persistency as Claire likes to call it, just to let you know that this Saturday, if you listen to this live, this Saturday we're running a workshop at 10 a.m. UK time where we're talking to you some of the secrets to midlife health and happiness that we work on our clients with when we take them through our transformational program, the Midlife Method. That's an 8-week program where we not only get amazing physical results in terms of dropping the body fat, increasing lean muscle mass, feeling more energized, fit and confident, but also help them massively with the mindset reps and transition to just a much more positive and optimistic outlook on life. Yeah,
exactly. So we're really excited about sharing that on Saturday, actually, because a lot of the time midlifers will come to us and we can see them making the same mistakes. It's not actually your fault. There's such an overload of information out there. You're kind of constantly being pulled in this direction and that direction. And actually, here's the thing. Most of the time you are getting it wrong without knowing you're getting it wrong and making the same mistakes over and over again. So we're going to be revealing what those are and the secrets actually to overcome them on Saturday. So you will definitely go away with some huge aha moments on that. So bring pad and paper and I'll put the link in the show notes of how to sign up for that live workshop.
Fantastic. I just remember there as well, do go and check out our YouTube channel. If you just search for Midlife Mentors, you'll find it, because we're adding more and more content to that all the time. But you can also watch the stories, listen to the stories of people that have gone through the program and listen to how it's really transformed their lives. Yeah,
it's straight from the horse's mouth, so to say, but so to speak. But obviously, it's really, really inspiring to hear some of their stories. So, like James said, go and check it out. So, the power of persistence. As James also said right at the beginning, when you talk about being persistent, it's not particularly sexy, because here's the truth of the matter. Success is just the small things, the unsexy things done over and over and over again. And I think we mentioned this in the Sacrifices podcast we did last week, which is when you see successful people, and not just, the way they look, but just their overall life, you kind of see the tip of the iceberg, don't you? You see that bit that they're portraying to the world, or you see their success and think, oh my goodness, it's just amazing. What you haven't seen is the years and the years and years of hard slog that they've had to endure sometimes. It really feels like an endurance to get to where they've got. And, you know, it can be things like the risks that they've taken, the sacrifices that they've had to make that we discussed last week, the habits that they've had to cultivate that weren't naturally theirs in the first place, the amount of failure they've experienced over and over and over again. And actually, it's just persistence that has got them to that tip of the iceberg that you see.
Yeah, and the iceberg analogy is a good one because they say, like with an iceberg, it's like a third to a quarter is above the water, and so 2/3, 3/4 is underneath. You never see it, and like Claire said, you know, that's what we see. We look at people, and we're like, we see that shiny bit of ice glistening in the sun, going, "Oh!" What we don't see is all that unglamorous stuff sitting in the darkness that's moved them there. I mean, we're just chatting about this. It's a bit like, imagine watching top level sports people. When we're watching them competing in a match or a tournament, whatever, it's really exciting. We can like really admire their skill, but what we're not seeing, of course, is like the hours and hours of training in the rain and in the gym and all the work that's gone into that success.
But also kind of that level of fear that one experiences when you're moving towards something you really want in your life. You know, massive action, massive failure, you know, huge risks that you take. So. And also, here's the thing about, especially in the day and age that we live in now, in the Western world, with social media and the interweb, you know, we're always constantly thinking everyone else is so much more successful than me. But no one posts about their failures. No one posts about the hard slog, like being persistent, the sleepless nights, the getting up, the doing the mundane things over and over and over again. So again, that leads to comparison. You think, oh, you know, I'm just never going to get there. I'm clearly not doing the right thing. It's so hard for me. Why is it so much easier for everyone else? Well, it's not. It's just that they were more persistent. Seriously, it's just that they were more persistent.
Yeah, and I've used this analogy before. If you go back a few decades, you know, you only really knew about your neighbours or your friends, kind of what you got shown or you could see.
Oh yeah.
With social media, it really dissolves that barrier, and you feel like you're really seeing in someone's life. But what we forget is we're only seeing the life that they're choosing to portray to us. You know, so we've got all the guys posing with their sports cars and stuff like that.
I hate
but
those.
They've just rented them for the hour so they can do a photo shoot. You know, all this stuff goes on. We mustn't become obsessed by the highlight reels of everyone else because we're not seeing the true story and the whole story. So always remind yourself of that.
Yeah, extraordinary success and extraordinary people are just like you and I. There is absolutely no difference between the two. It's just that they are persistent and consistent. And here's a news flash as well. We've done a podcast on this as well. They stopped stopping. So this is a phrase that we use a lot with our clients, right? And they always say it really, really helps throughout our coaching, throughout our midlife method. We say this over and over and over again. You know, it doesn't matter how hard it is. And here's the thing, it's going to be hard. Anything you want in life that's worthwhile having is going to be difficult to get there. And, you know, we said this on the podcast last week, you need to make sacrifices, and that's when you're faced with a choice of how much you want it. But if you're just putting one foot in front of the other, that is enough. That's enough. You know, sometimes you're going to feel like you're going backwards, sometimes you feel like you're inert and not going anywhere, but you've just got to stop stopping.
And that's what I was saying about it being the key to success, but it's so unsexy and so unglamorous because, you know, what you want to believe is like, yeah, I sprung out of bed, I swung some weights around, and wow, 3 inches went off my waist. It's amazing. But, you know, the real truth is it's just the small steps day after day after day. One of our wonderful clients today in our private community posted, she's like, you know, I got up this morning, I just wasn't feeling it, but I started, and then I was so glad I did because I got through, and I feel so much better for it. You know, and we're not here to mislead you or try and sell a faddy approach. You know, it does take commitment and it takes hard work. You can make it easier by working on your mindset, but if you want change in your life, you know, you've got to stick with stuff and just keep taking those small steps over and over.
Well, every time you stop as well, every time you stop, you lose trust in yourself. So that's what happens when you lose self-belief. And here's the thing for midlifers as well, right? We've had so many failures that we deem as failures, where actually what we've done, spit it out, Claire, what we've done is actually we've just stopped. we keep stopping and we keep telling ourselves that we're failures and that we've lost self-belief and we lose confidence in ourselves. If you just stopping and just do what you can in the moment, it doesn't matter whether it's big, whether it's small. If you just keep going, you'll just gain so much trust and self-respect. You'll be so proud of yourself for not stopping.
Yeah, I can't reiterate how important it is to craft this attitude of persistence, because Claire and I, we love exercise, we love it, but we still get days where we get up and we're just like, really don't want to do it, but we always do, because we know what our ultimate goal is, what our ultimate aim, we know it always makes us feel better. And it's just having that confidence to take that step day after day.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to say that successful people are in it for the long haul. That's the thing as well. I think successful people know that it takes time, and that actually they don't necessarily focus on the destination. They focus on the beautiful path to the destination, and they do the ordinary things over and over that result in the extraordinary. So one of our massive tips for you is please don't, we've said this a million times before as well, but don't just focus on the destination. You have to enjoy the journey there, because if you're not, you're going to get really frustrated, you're going to get really low, you're going to be pulled off the straight and narrow, and you won't want to be persistent, and you'll be looking for other things that might be working better or quicker than what you're doing right now. So
shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say that's one of the key things, is just don't stop. There's a real temptation, if we become fixed on the destination, that two things are happening. One, we're not being present with where we are and enjoying the journey. The other thing is it becomes really easy to become dispirited. You can feel like you're taking action day after day after day and not getting anywhere. And then that can lead you to stop or jump to the shiny thing, the next thing, and actually you don't even know, you might have been so close to finally cracking it, and you just needed a few more strokes of that pickaxe to break through to the gold scene of the diamond.
it's with that image, I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. There's an image of two people with a pickaxe, and they're kind of, one's above the other, and they're picking away, and there's like diamonds at the end to the right hand side of the picture. And actually it's an amazing representation of quitting just as you're about to hit success, because the one on the bottom just turns around, he's like closer than the other one to the diamonds, but he's turned around just before he reaches them and starts walking in the other direction. But the other one is just keeping on going, and he or she will hit the diamonds. And it's so easy to just get so tired and so worn out and so worn down, and it is normal, it's natural. Be compassionate with yourself. James and I, we've alluded to this before, we get so tired sometimes. Of course, we're running our own business, our world changed with what's happened in the last year. We've had to completely, I suppose, spin the business on its head a little bit, but we get tired. Sometimes there's days where we're like, oh my goodness, this feels really, really hard, but we're just persistent. And even if we do something, like record a podcast, or we go and work out, or we've done something, we at least feel like we've achieved something and we've not stopped. So it's just really, really important to know that we all have those times, and it's completely natural, especially in the world we're living in right now.
It is. I always remind myself of the story of Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. We take the light bulb for granted now. It's like such a part of our everyday modern life, but he was challenged by a journalist. He said, I'm going to invent the light bulb. And challenged by a journalist going, well, you haven't managed. You're just a failure and you won't find a way. He said, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. And that was very much his attitude. And of course, he kept going. And now we have the light bulb. Exactly.
So just to reiterate, unsuccessful people do always look for the next thing. We see this a lot when people come to us. They've been doing something, but actually because of the fads and quick fixes and fake promises that we see all around us right now, and everyone vying for your attention. Do this is the miracle cure, this is the miracle thing, over here you're doing one thing, then it's the other thing. Because it's not working quick enough, you haven't actually given it a chance to work. And this is the same for everything, not just in health and wellness. So you're off onto the next thing. Here's the thing, successful people don't do that. We do realise, you need to realise that it's just going to take time, and that giving up and quitting so easily, you haven't given it enough time or enough chance.
I'd say another thing to be aware of is like we often believe that success is a straight line. Like we know our path to our goal. But often we'll get deviated. I've talked about this before. You have to course correct, and I think it's something like an aeroplane. If it takes off to cross the Atlantic, if it's 1 degree off, it'll end up thousands of miles off course. And that's like us. We might set out with a very specific goal and a pathway to get there, but we're going to need to make adjustments as we go. It's not jumping to a completely new approach, but continuing making adjustments and enjoying the journey. And that's how we master ourselves as well as the goal that we want.
I'm laughing because I put something up years ago, actually, well, a couple of years ago, on my Facebook page, and it was like the journey of an entrepreneur, or the journey of a successful entrepreneur, and it was so funny. In one day, it starts off like, I'm really happy, I'm doing really well here, and then the diagram slumps down to the bottom of the page, and it's like, I'm a failure, I'm terrible. Oh no, I did that really well. And then within like 2 minutes, you're like, oh my God, I'm never gonna work. This is never gonna work. I'm never gonna get there. And then it's just this constant roller coaster up and down. And you just have to. You do gain confidence, self-confidence, and self-respect. So the more you just know that's part of the journey and that it's not linear.
I was going to say, if you want a modern example of massive failure driving towards success, you can look at the SpaceX program, right? And their last rocket managed to land and then blew up on the launch pad, and a load of people mocked it. But that's costing millions and millions of dollars each time. But every time they do it, they're getting a stage further, and at some point that is going to be successful. They're not just going, oh well, the rocket fell over, or the rocket blew up, so we'll give up. They're learning from every time something doesn't go as planned, and then moving to the next iteration.
Well, I can even use an example of us. We were creating online products and online programs a couple of years ago, and oh my goodness, the learning curve. I'm not actually saying that this was actually a good thing, but James and I, right at the beginning, we were working, goodness me, like 10 hour days.
Too long.
And I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, because actually, here's the thing, it's about that balance of sacrifice. I think we went too far into the striving, but at the same time, we had a massive learning curve of teaching ourselves about online products, and James created all the designs of our web pages, and then we had the app that we've got out now that delivers the Midlife method, and all of that at the beginning is really hard. And you're like, oh my goodness, I'm never ever going to be able to master this or understand how this all works. And then in time, you look back and you think, oh my goodness, I actually did. And it just takes that faith, faith that it is, or your persistence is going to come good in the end. It is going to come good in the end if you keep on going. So we've got some strategies to help you build persistence in your life.
Yeah.
An attitude of persistence.
First one is surround yourself with extraordinary people. This is about having support and accountability. So find someone you can confidently share your goals with, and feed into them to keep you on track. It could be a buddy, you could get yourself a coach, you could get yourself a mentor, you could enroll in a program that's going to keep you accountable. But get in with like-minded people and get that accountability and support. You
are your environment. You
exactly.
Really are. Model what persistence looks like. If you look at someone and think, oh, how have they got there? Ask them. If you know them, ask them. Actually reaching out. Sometimes we feel too vulnerable to ask people for help, or we feel too vulnerable to say, how did you do that? But I would always encourage people to do that, because actually, if they're a little bit further along, the 100% they would have had similar struggles, or they would have it's that iceberg. They would have had so many times where they wanted to quit, but they didn't. And I'll tell you what, those people will always want to help others along the road. They'll always want to share how they got there. The good people will always want to share. We're always here if you want to reach out to ask us, how we carry on evolving and moving through our business and in our health and wellness and success. So just model what that persistence looks like, and start just trying to adapt some of those behaviours yourself.
And then set small goals to begin with. What does a small daily win look like for you? And what does a weekly win look like? And don't be afraid to celebrate those milestone wins that you will get along the way. Because when we do that, we're actually sending a message to our subconscious that we're on the right track and that we're succeeding.
It's a really important thing to say. James and I are still learning to do this, but actually looking back and celebrating, like James has just said there, but celebrating how your attitude of persistence has actually propelled you forward. You know, don't shimmy over this stuff. Don't just go, oh, that's just not. Really, really allow yourself to celebrate you moving forward and doing what it takes. Really celebrate those times where you haven't stopped, but you really, really wanted to. Because those are the things that are making you into the person that you're becoming. Those are the things that are just amazing and unique to you. So please have a look back right now. Even just pause this and have a think. You know, what have I carried on doing that I always thought was going to be quite a struggle? And actually it really, really paid off. Because if I can apply that to that, I know I can apply it to anything else I want. And I'm going to read out one final
I love this
quote. This is amazing. This is Calvin Coolidge. And it says, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent.
I love that quote.
How amazing is that? Nothing is more powerful than persistence. So just keep on going. You're doing such an amazing job at this thing called life. You really, really are. There's so many times where we look at ourselves and just berate ourselves for not doing well enough. As long as you are putting one foot forward, you're doing amazingly, amazingly well.
You really are. We're sending you all so much love until our next episode,
Yes!
recorded just before we leave Marbella. Hopefully see some of you on our workshop this Saturday. If not, do check out our YouTube channel, The Midlife Mentors, and check out our website, themidlifementors.com.
Exactly. And we're sending you so much love. Have a great week. Take care.
Yeah.
You've been listening to The Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under The Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.